right, another X factor would be Oklahoma's secondary, and specifically this secondary against Trinidad Chambliss. So this is a guy, Brent Venables brought this up. This is a guy that has put up stats, obviously not at this level, but has put up stats that have been incredible. Now this season has put up stats at this level that have been incredible, but in his past years, he's won a national championship, not at the D1 level, but he's won a national championship as a starting quarterback at the D2 level for an FCS team. And so he knows what it takes to win. And really the gap between a lot of FCS teams and FBS teams is not always that far different. And Trinidad Chambliss is one example of where that is true, where there are some guys that just don't get the recognition or maybe don't get the right eyes. Maybe they didn't have the right plan going forward in their recruitment. Whatever the case may be, it's not always just a complete separation as if FCS players aren't any good. Now, I think as a whole, the FCS gap is far different. That's why most of the time FBS teams tend to run the table against FCS teams. But Trinidad Chambliss is truly an incredible athlete, an incredible quarterback. He's had some incredible stats this season, and I don't know why I don't have them down in my notes, but I know for a fact I can get them pulled up really quick because I'm good at thinking quick on my toes. I'm just not good at thinking ahead of time, apparently. But Trinidad Chambliss, 1,549 yards on the season. And just to put that into perspective, he did not play every game of the season. He came in as a backup to take over for Austin Simmons, who got hurt. And now going into that Georgia loss for 263 yards against Georgia. It didn't perform well against them, but he still put up some incredible yards against a tough Georgia team. Not the same Georgia as we're used to seeing, but it's a Georgia that knows how to win, and that's exactly what they did last weekend. Trinidad Chambliss is truly a competitor. He's a scary dude when he gets on the field. Again, Brent Venables was talking about this a lot here this week, and especially I think it was today or yesterday. Kind of getting all my days. It feels like it's been a long week, but it's only Tuesday, so bear with me. But in terms of rushing, he rushes for about 4.5 yards per carry. He has 5 touchdowns on the year and 323 yards on the ground. He's a very fast, very elusive quarterback. He's an athlete. He's a guy that can run around. And I would say a different type of scary than Lenore Sellers. Lenore Sellers can slip free a lot, and he can make contact and slip out of tackles, as we saw on Saturday against South Carolina. Trinidad Chambliss is very shifty, very, very capable of making you miss and hitting the edge, getting around players. So it's going to be very crucial for Oklahoma to be able to shut him down, slow him down. That's going to be very big. But then specifically getting into the secondary. Like I mentioned a moment ago, he threw for 263 yards against Georgia, and he can distribute the ball to just about anybody on the field. He's got multiple weapons. Oklahoma's secondary will be tested, and it's going to be a lot on the corners if Gentry Williams plays, which we will talk more about probably on Thursday and get more of a for sure idea on that. And then, of course, you've got Eli Bowen on the other side. You've got to rely on your key guys, Cortland Guillory, and also I think Hardy too. I think Jaden Hardy has also got to keep, both of them have to keep their head on a swivel and be ready for this week. Again, as we mentioned a moment ago, I think Oklahoma, and specifically in that secondary, needs to be able to cut down on some of these penalties that they've been drawing in the pass interference and defensive holding and all of that kind of stuff. So I think it's going to be very crucial for Oklahoma to be able to slow down Trinidad Chambliss in the passing game, because I think I have confidence that they'll be able to slow him down with his feet. But if they can slow him down in the pass game, that's exactly what Georgia was able to do specifically in that fourth quarter, and you saw how that game ended. So being able to do that, and then of course being able to close the game out, I think is probably another thing that I probably could have thrown down there in for X factors, but that won't be one of them.